The Maqasidic Tafsir.
Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end? Pursuing the higher aim, learning the meaning of every page. Where should I begin when I'm starting at the end?
Assalamu alaikum. Sunnah Followers presents a new class, the Maqasidic Tafsir, being taught and brought to you by Ustada Layla Nashiba. Please stay tuned, streaming on all major platforms, right here on channel Sunnah Followers.
Ina alhamdulillah, wa salat, wa salam ala wa rasulullah. I want to welcome everybody to our new class. It's not new, but this is a new series that I started a couple of weeks ago, the Maqasidic Tafsir. And I really hope that everybody here has purchased the book. If you have not yet purchased the book, you need to get to Amazon.com. Pick up a copy of this book. It's written by Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid. This is the volume 1. Okay, volume 1. And subhanAllah, the book is only $19.99. That's not a lot of money at all to pay for paradise. I mean, come on. If you can understand the meaning of the Quran, that ups your chances, that betters your chances of paradise. So for those of you who have not yet purchased the book, please do so. And subhanAllah, this book is a very excellent book to help you to understand, as we're speaking about now, the process of how the scholars interpret the meaning of the Quran to you, how the people of knowledge, a lot of you may say, how is it that the people of knowledge interpret the meaning of Allah's words to us? Well, that's what this book, volume 1, is breaking down. We're going over how the Quran is interpreted by the scholars. And of course, by having this procedure in effect, this is one of the ways that Allah has protected the Quran from being distorted. You know, like the other books that came before it, they were distorted. As Allah tells us himself, the Jews and the Christians, they allow their learned men, their scholars, to distort the meaning of their books. That's why Allah destroyed all those other books and he replaced them all with the Quran. The Quran cannot be distorted. The Quran cannot be stripped of its meaning. You know, it's protected by Allah. Okay, and all the guidelines that we have in regards to interpreting and understanding the Quran is protected too, because something else that we have here in Islam that the other people before us didn't have is we have the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's one of the things that Allah gave him that he didn't give any other prophet, and that is his example. You know, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was a walking example of the Quran. He was a walking example of the Quran. And by the way, there's a tornado watch here where I live. So if you guys hear sirens and all of that, oh, it's bad. They thundering and lightning outside. Some people don't have no electricity. I got mine for some reason, but the other people don't. So if y'all hear the sirens, I don't know. It's a terrible tornado. But anyway, subhanAllah. But subhanAllah, you know, so Allah has preserved the Quran and protected it from being distorted by man. We can't twist the meaning around because we have the hadiths. The hadiths are the things that the Prophet Muhammad said and did. He explained the Quran to us. Okay. His companions also had a great understanding of the Quran. In fact, we talked about how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam made dua for some of his companions, asking Allah to give them a deep, intricate understanding of the Quran. So that's why it's not distorted. That's why the Prophet said you have to learn them hadiths too. And that's another thing too. The hadiths explain the Quran. You know, we don't have to listen to a man like Paul, who never met Jesus and fell off a horse and got a concussion. And because of his concussion, he had some dreams that he was talking in the Garden of Eden or whatever. Ain't none of that crap in here in Islam. None of that crap is in there. Okay. We understand this religion the way the companions who were with the prophet, the original companions, understood it to be. And so today what we're doing is we're going to complete this chapter of the book. We're going to be discussing pages 33 through 38. I know I told you through 35, but I decided when I was making the PowerPoint, I decided to complete the chapter because I wanted you guys to know the critique. And before we go into today's topic, I got one question just to see where you guys if you guys have been studying. And I want everybody to wake up, because I don't complain about not having people. My Zoom room is always packed. What I complain about is how you people refuse to get on the mic and answer questions. When the brothers are here, they expect interaction. We got it yesterday with Dr. Ali, thanks to Sister Anissa, Norto, and a couple of others. But the rest of you 30 airheads that's sitting up in my Zoom room, y'all better get on that microphone. We're going to have to change this, where y'all sitting around watching TV. You're watching TV instead of learning your deen. That's got to change. All right? So let me ask this question. We talked about how there's two different types of tafsir. What are the two different types of tafsir? Can anybody tell me? And there's somebody with the name iPhone. I don't know who you are, but you need to identify, because I don't even know if I have any moderators here. So I'm trying to run this circus. Okay, I'm running this circus myself, I was going to say. Whoever, you know who iPhone is?
No, I don't, but they left out.
Yeah, y'all need to identify yourself, because my website is always under attack by Shaitan. Don't come in here with the name iPhone. You better get a name. You have to have a name to join my Zoom room. We're under high security here. Security watch. Okay. All right. So, who can answer this question? What are the two different types of tafsir? There's only two different categories of tafsir. What are they? Who can answer? Wa alaikum salam, Margaret. And I see Pamela and Sakina's here. MashaAllah. Good job, Sakina. Sakina gave her answer. Good job. She said the two different types of tafsir are evidence-based and opinion-based. Good job, Sakina. May Allah bless you. Okay. Also, Miss Jackson, she said we have the tafsir based on explanations from the Quran, the hadith of the Prophet, or the understanding of the companion. And then there's the tafsir based on opinions, fatwa. Good job. You got it right, Miss Jackson. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. Miss Jackson got it right. Good job. Good job, Sister Muslima. She said the two different types of tafsir are evidence-based and opinion. She meant to type opinion. Came out as options. I know. Okay, good job. I'm proud of you. So those are the two different types of tafsir. Which one have we already discussed up until today? Which type of tafsir have we went into detail about so far? Which one have we discussed in detail up until today? Anyone?
Tafsir el Bator. I don't know how to pronounce it. Takor.
Yeah, exactly. Tafsir bil matur. Matur. Not sound like awa. It's not awa talking. This is Layla. It's matur. Tafsir bil matur. That's the evidence base. Good job, Muslima. Good job, Mina. The evidence-based tafsir, which is tafsir bil matur. Okay, we discussed that one. Well, today we're going to speak about the second type of tafsir. And by the way, what does the Arabic word tafsir translate to mean in English? And it's more than one meaning. Remember, all Arabic words are more than one meaning. What does tafsir mean? What does the Arabic word tafsir translate to mean in English? And it's more than one meaning, like all Arabic words are. Go ahead, somebody. Walaikum salam, Brother Tashri. Good job.
It refers to explanation, interpretation, and clarification.
Good job. When y'all see the Arabic word tafsir, Awa said no comment. Good job. Tafsir, Miss Jackson, you're pretty smart. Boy, Miss Jackson's pretty smart, y'all. She got one of them photographic memories like Layla Nashiba. See, she should have been coming to my classes 10 years ago. She be sitting here teaching. See, if Miss Jackson was here 10 years ago, y'all, she'd be teaching with me. Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Tafsir refers to explanation, clarification, interpretation of the meaning. Good job. Explanation of the meaning. So whenever y'all see the Arabic word tafsir or hear the lecturers, the speakers talk about tafsir, they're giving you explanation or their interpretation or the explanation or the clarification of a meaning of something, of a hadith or of a Quranic verse or something. Okay, so we spoke about the interpretation or the explanation or the clarification of those verses of the Quran that are based on evidences from the hadith of the companions, evidences based on the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, also evidence based on the Quran itself, or evidence based on the Arabic language meaning. So we already discussed that type of explanation. Well, today we're going to go into detail, and we're going to also speak about the critique of it, of the second type. So let me put the PowerPoint up on the screen. Give me a second. Oh, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Getting better at this. Look at that. One click. You're doing good, Miss Jackson. I tell you, my Zoom room is filled with a bunch of airheads. These are my students. My students hang out in the Zoom room with me. I'm talking about my one-on-ones. But they're airheads. Why do I call them airheads? Because they're sitting in the Zoom room watching TV, cooking food, talking on the phone. Some of them, taking showers, sleeping. They crazy. Seriously. They don't paying attention, in other words. That's why I call them airheads. They know the answers to these questions, but they so busy doing other things, that they ain't participating. So that's why I mean they're airheads. The ones that participate, like Isra, they on YouTube, like Pamela, Miss Jackson, Muslima, all y'all are on YouTube. Alhamdulillah. So y'all do like y'all doing. Y'all doing good. MashaAllah. All right. Let's put the PowerPoint up here. Okay. Oh, good. Y'all can see it. I had it up. Oh, great. Oh, so all I got to do is take this down. Okay. Let me just take this banner here down. Yeah. There we go. Oh, yeah, I'm up there. There you go, Layla. Okay, so mashallah, wait a minute, let me see another color. Y'all know I did some more colors. I like to be color coordinated. I think I made blue. Yeah, there you go. There's blue color coordinator. There you go, because I like to wear blue sometimes. But anyway, today we're going to be covering, I got the wrong pages. Pages 33 through 38. I meant to change that. And we're going to speak about the second type of interpretation of the meaning. These are opinion-based interpretations. And what are they called in Arabic? Tafsir bil Rai. I mean, raw. Raw is heavy, they told me. Tafsir bil Rai. Raw is heavy here. Rai. If I'm not pronouncing it right, I tried. I don't need to get the emails from the Peanut DNA Gallery. Who's the Peanut DNA Gallery? My DNA Arab cousins who I never met. That's all over in the Middle East. They always on me about Arabic, and that includes you, Dr. Asim. But it's Tafsir bil Rai. Rai. These are opinion-based interpretations. And let's take a look at it. Yeah, Dr. Asim. He'll be calling me. Dr. Asim, get your Tajweed classes back. Bring back the Quran Tajweed classes. Oh, yeah. All right. Okay, here we go. So let's take a look here. All right. Now, opinion-based interpretations. Of course, they're based on a person's personal opinion, and they use logic, deductive logic. How many of you had to take that class in college? I took deductive logic and I took symbolic logic because I was not taking no philosophy, other stuff, the ologies. Okay. Well, opinion-based interpretation of the Quran is based on rational reasoning. And that's what we call ijtihad. How many of you have heard that Arabic term? Ijtihad. When you hear the brothers giving lectures and they say we're making ijtihad, they're saying that they're making their own opinion. That's what a fatwa is. A fatwa. Fatwa is an Arabic word that means opinion, legal verdict, decision. Your decision, your verdict based on the reasoning that you used, based on whatever rationale you used to come up with it. That's what fatwa is. Okay? So, ijtihad. When you hear the Arabic term ijtihad, they're referring to opinion-based interpretation and opinion-based interpretation of a verse of the Quran. And in order to come up with opinion-based interpretations, again, a lot of times they rely on the flexibility of the Arabic language and other nuances. And we're going to break that down in a minute. And for the interpreter, remember the Arabic word mufassir means interpreter. When the opinion-driven mufassir develops his interpretation, what does he rely on? Well, he comes to his deduction by using the resources of the Quran. He may also look at hadiths. He may look at the Prophet's life, Also, the reason Allah sent the verse down, the Arabic language, and all of that. Let me give you an example. When y'all hear some of the scholars say it's haram for a woman to wear high heel shoes, that's an example of a tafsir bil Roy. That's an opinion-driven interpretation. They take the verse of the Quran where Allah says, "Oh, you who believe, oh, you women who believe, do not stomp your feet in the marketplace to get attention." How did they come up from that verse to say that means I can't wear high heel shoes? That's their interpretation. Is it correct? No. And we're going to talk about the problems with giving explanations based on your opinion. Oftentimes they're not correct. Okay, that verse is not saying that I can't wear high heel shoes. But that's an example of how a scholar will deliberate on a verse, and based on rationale and reasoning, their own ijtihad, they come up and say a woman can't wear heels. But is it correct? No. Another example, a woman has to cover her face. What is that based on? They'll read a verse of the Quran, "Oh, you women who believe, cover yourselves when you go out the house." And based on ijtihad, they'll look and say, well, a woman's face is the most beautiful part of her body. So based on that rationale, her face should be covered. But is it correct? No. And that's the problem with a lot of opinion-based explanations. And now you guys can see how you will have three different scholars with different views. Let me give an example. Sheikh bin Baz, may Allah bless him, forgive him of all his sins. He was of the opinion that a woman had to cover her face. But Sheikh Albani, may Allah bless him and forgive him of his sins, he said, no, this is not correct. How did they both come with two different views? Okay. Well, for those who based it on opinion, they use rationale. Again, Sheikh bin Baz was an older man. He used rationale. Well, the face is what's beautiful. Most men are attracted to the face. But Sheikh Albani's opinion was correct, because Sheikh Albani gave Tafsir bil Mathur based on the hadiths of the companions. Sheikh bin Baz used the understanding of Ibn Abbas. He used the understanding of Ibn Umar and Aisha, and he issued the fatwa saying this is not correct. The woman's face is not part of her order. It does not have to be covered. And he based it on that, whereas bin Baz based it on his rationale. I'm giving y'all examples, trying to make it easy. So that's how you will come upon different opinions from the scholars. Some of them use Tafsir bil Mathur, which is evidence-based. And some of them use Tafsir bil Roy, y'all know, Roy, which is opinion-based. I hope I'm clear. Am I explaining this good? Is Amina Fresno here? Amina Fresno?
Yeah, I'm here.
Am I explaining that good?
Yeah, but it's all confusing. But yeah, you're doing good.
Are you? Tell me what's confusing. I mean, I'm trying to show y'all how. If you for those,
I understand. Yeah, it's clear. It's clear. What
yeah,
you said.
for those people that do fatwa, you brothers, that's why you will get a fatwa from Sheikh Albani saying one thing. A fatwa from Sheikh bin Baz saying something else. A fatwa from Sheikh Uthaymeen saying something else, because one may have used tafsir bil matur, which is based on evidence from the hadith. Another one may have used evidence based on Arabic language. And another one may have based it on ijtihad. Y'all understand? I'm trying to keep that simple. Probably a bad example, but I'm trying to, break it down in English. All right. So when it comes to interpretations of the meaning based on opinion, in order for the opinion to be accepted, there's a criteria that has to exist. And I like the way Sheikh Kareem Abu Zaid broke this criteria down. Okay, let's go over the criteria. Number one, the opinion should not, I repeat, should not contradict evidence-based explanations from the Quran or evidence based from the companions or the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay, and that's how we're able to refute. That's how, for example, Sheikh Albani refuted the opinion that a woman's face is part of aura, of her aura, her nakedness. No, we got too many hadiths. Aisha didn't cover her face. I keep telling y'all, Aisha didn't cover her face. The female companions didn't walk around with burqas on. Burqa's not part of the Arabic women's dress. The only time they would cover their face is if they were passing a group of men. Sometimes they do this and take it down, or they wore the hoods. They bring the hood down so they covered their eyes. But the Arab women did not walk around in burqas. So that's how Sheikh Albani was able to break that. Okay, no, your opinion. This opinion contradicts, what the companion said. This opinion contradicts what the Prophet said. The Prophet said a woman doesn't even have to cover her face when she makes Hajj. Okay, so that's an example. All right. And also, you have to have insight into the different sciences. The mature scholar, he may uncover different ways to describe the meaning. And that's okay, as long as it's not changing the meaning. As we talked about before, you can't change the meaning. And that's what the problem is with commentary. And that's why I tell you guys, when you're reading, for example, Yusuf Ali's Quran, his is the one with all that commentary in it. He's the one that says Alexander the Great was the dual Qarnayn. That's not correct. Commentary, cannot contradict what the Quran says. You have to be careful. That's why I tell y'all, when you got those English translated Qurans, forget about that commentary. The commentary is not part of the Quran. That's somebody's opinion. That's tafsir bil ra'i. That's opinion based. So symbolic views or suggestive views of the Quran must not be based on that, nor should it be based on language that only a few people understand. Okay? You can't say, well, this word means this, and nobody else understands that word to mean that. It can't contradict the Quran. It can't contradict the Hadith. Like the verse I gave earlier, the example, the ijtihad that was made about a woman wearing stomping her feet means no high heel shoes. That's not true, because we have the authentic hadith from Aisha radiyallahu anha And we have the authentic hadith from Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhu, where he said that, and he and Aisha both said that Allah sent that verse down in regards to the women trying to become a public spectacle. Before Islam, the Arabic women would put bangles around their ankles, and then they would go into the marketplace and they would stomp their feet to make the bangles jingle to get the attention of men. So because of those hadiths and understandings of Aisha radiallahu anha, also Ibn Abbas, Ibn Umar too, Ibn Umar and many of the other companions, Salama, she talked about it too. Because of that, we can't accept that opinion. That opinion, that verse of the Quran has nothing to do with high heel shoes. It's talking about women prostituting or women trying to become public spectacles. Y'all understand? Am I breaking this down, Fresno? Am I breaking this down?
Yes.
So you can see why you got some brothers of today. We ain't gonna mention no names, but we got some old men of today that tell you sisters you cannot wear high heel shoes. Y'all see where they get that from? They're using Tafsir bil Rai, based on their opinion. Well, I'm sorry. I'm using Tafsir bil Matur. The hadith knocks that out. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So if an interpretation is in violation of any of this stuff, then we don't accept it. We reject it. We consider it worthless. And that's why you will find different fatwas from Sheikh Albani, Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh bin Baz. You put them all three together, ask them a same question, and you'll get three different answers. That's why it's what are they using? What are they basing it on? That's why you're not supposed to depend on fatwa. That's why as Muslims, Islam is not based on anyone's opinion. Islam is based on two sources, the Quran and the authentic hadith. All right? So, let me move this. I wish I got to figure out how to work this where I can move this Zoom out the way so it doesn't get in my way. So what types of explanations of the Quran do we reject? Number one, any interpretation or any explanation that is based on a dream or based on a hidden meaning or symbolic beliefs or mysticism, we reject. Let me give an example. The Sufis, they have their own tafsir, many of them. They base it on numbers because Allah said there'll be 70,000 people that will be forerunners and 70,000 this. And so we're going to base it on this. No, we reject that. Or a person says, well, I had a dream that this verse was referring to, This is how Allah protects the Quran. We don't accept anybody's explanation, anybody's interpretation or clarification that is based on dreams, mysticism, or any of that. And again, any opinions that oppose the principles of Islam or oppose the hadith. An example, how many of you were told that Sheikh so-and-so said it's haram for a woman to wear colors? Who said that? That's based on somebody's opinion. We got too many hadiths right there in Bukhari. Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, was married in a red and white striped dress. Aisha's favorite color was red and pink. That's all Bukhari. So if it's haram to wear colors, why did Aisha like red and pink? Aisha had a beautiful yellow veil that she would put across her face that came from Turkey. Like I told you guys, the Turkish women used to wear veils across their face. Her nephew went to Turkey and came back with a beautiful clear veil. And Aisha would sometimes wear it across her face. This is Sahih Bukhari. Okay? Also, the woman who complained to Allah about her husband. She came to the Prophet dressed in a beautiful silk green dress. That's Bukhari too. So this is how, for example, Sheikh Albani, you will find some other scholars that said it's haram for women to wear red. It's haram for women to wear colors. That ain't Sheikh Albani's fatwa. Sheikh Albani's fatwa is there's no color that's forbidden for a woman to wear. And he based it on the clear evidence. Those hadiths are too clear. The Prophet's daughter was seen riding on the back of a donkey with Uthman, and she was dressed in a beautiful red silk dress. The Arab women wore silk because it's hot in the desert. A lot of people tell you can't wear silk. Who said that? What do you think the Arab people wore? The ones that had money, they wore silk and linen. If they couldn't afford silk and linen, then they would resort to the cotton. The desert is hot. They wore clothes that are breathable. Silk, you can breathe through it. So again, we have to be careful, but that's how you will have different opinions. And that's why I tell y'all, we don't base Islam on fatwa or opinion. So any opinions that oppose the hadith, any opinions that oppose Islamic law, they have no weight, no value. I can give you a new opinion that's going around here in America. I had a brother send me an email the other day. He said, Sister Layla, is it true that as Muslims, we should do background checks on people before we give shahada to them? I said, what? I ain't never heard this before. He said, yes, I was told that as Muslims, if anybody comes to the mosque seeking shahada, we should do a background check. I said, Allah doesn't say that. Allah says you will never know what's in the heart of another man. The Prophet Muhammad said, I wasn't sent here to cut nobody's heart open. I wasn't sent here to cut a person's chest open to see if they're sincere. So based on that, I told him, I don't know who you heard that from, but that's nonsense. That's crazy. Any opinions that oppose the basic principles of Islam, of the Hadith, Sharia law, they have no weight, no merit. But the reality is, guys, unfortunately, most Muslims today don't know the religion. They don't know the lawful and the unlawful. They don't know the hadith. So they allow men and women to come and twist things around and change it. That's why we got women walking around looking like a cyclops, because they don't know their deen. They allow men to tell them that Allah made a mistake making them beautiful, and they got to walk around with a face cover, when even the prophets' wives didn't cover their faces. That's why we got women walking around dressed in black, looking trifling and tacky clothes, because some man told them they can't wear nice clothes, when Allah is clear in the Quran and says, wear your beautiful clothing to the mosque, to every house of worship, man and woman. So that's the problem. Unless you yourself are educated of your religion well, you're going to be duped up by these opinion-based people. Okay? And again, let's go over some of the essentials of acceptance of the opinion base. Let's continue with them. The interpreter, he can form an opinion only on the crystal clear verse of the Quran. Okay? He can only form an opinion based on the explanation of a crystal clear verse. Okay? Another essential. An opinion can only be formed, again, if there's no explanation from the prophet. And again, the opinion cannot be based on your desires. And that's the problem. A lot of opinions are based on the desires. How many of you have been told it's haram for a woman to wear pants? What is that based on? There's no verse in the Quran that talks about women in pants. The prophet's wife, Aisha radiallahu anha, Aisha wore pants. She always wore a pair of pants underneath her shift. In fact, all the Arabic women, they wore harem pants under their shifts. How do y'all think they straddled a donkey? How do y'all think they straddled a camel? They didn't all have a rounder. That's a misconception. Not every Arab could afford or had a rounder. So this is somebody's opinion about pants. So we have to be careful. We don't accept opinions based on your likes, your dislikes, or any of that. You have to be able to make an opinion based on sound evidence. Okay? And again, you have to have knowledge of the Quran, the science of it. You have to have knowledge of the hadiths. And again, most people don't. That's why we got this twisted form of Islam today. You have to also provide evidence when you're given an opinion. And evidence is not another person's opinion. You can't give me Ibn Taymiyyah's opinion. That's not evidence. You can't give me Ibn Qayyim's opinion. That's not evidence. Evidence is another verse from the Quran or an authentic hadith from the prophet or one of his companions or one of his companions' students. Not Ibn Taymiyyah, not the four Imam either. No. What happened to the prophet, the companions, and their successors? We have to follow that chain. Okay? And also the interpreter, he cannot attempt to interpret the unseen, such as the attributes of Allah, the names of Allah. You can't sit there and try to give me an explanation of what kind of hands Allah has or how Allah comes down every night to the last third of the night. Stuff like that only Allah knows, we cannot try to interpret. And again, we don't take the verses out of context either. You can't twist the verses around to say high heel shoes. It ain't got nothing to do with no high heel shoes. So that's why ain't nobody accepting that. Okay? And again, you cannot violate the Arabic language, linguistics, and all of that. All right? And again, this is common sense, but it needs to be said. Whoever is interpreting the Quran to you, he cannot explain it in a way that supports the deviant sect's belief systems or that promotes innovations. And we see a lot of that today. People trying to twist the words of Allah around to justify worshiping the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, celebrating birthdays. This is innovation. This is deviation. We can't do that. And also, we cannot produce an interpretation that contradicts the Islamic religious principles and their meaning and objectives either. So these are a lot of rules that must be followed by those people who interpret the Quran based on opinion. And that brings us to the next session here, which is why I included it. What criticisms do we have of Tafsir bil Ra'i? Well, the critics say, number one, the explanation of the revelations of the Quran should originate from the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because he's the one Allah revealed the Quran to. And when it comes to something that's not clear, It should be the understanding of his companions, because Allah tells us in the Quran that no one understands this deen better than them. Okay? Also, Allah tells us don't pursue that which you don't know. In other words, don't sit around and assume things about this deen that you don't know and that you can't prove. Remember, Allah told the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that that my Lord has forbidden all bad things, that which is apparent and that which is hidden. And one of the things that Allah hates the most is for us to speak about him without knowledge. And that's what tafsir bil ra'i leads to. It can lead to speaking about Allah without knowledge, making assumptions about his words, making assumptions about him that you can't prove. And also remember, Allah says in the interpretation of the meaning, and we revealed to you the message so that you can make clear to the people what was sent down to them. And our Prophet Muhammad did make it clear to us what's lawful, what's unlawful. I don't need to look up a fatwa on whether or not I can wear high heel shoes. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the things that I have not mentioned are the things that Allah has not mentioned. And the things that Allah has not mentioned are all lawful. Allah has not mentioned anything about high heel shoes. So what does that mean? That means it's lawful, it's good and clean. So those are the criticisms that we have with it. And y'all know I'm against it. Okay, because I'm always speaking against this opinion-based stuff. Okay? But how do these scholars come back at us? For those of us who criticize them, how do they come back? Well, they say that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam did not explain every verse of the Quran. And since he didn't, we have a need to develop opinion and interpretation. How many of you have heard that? How many of you have heard some of these famous brothers say that the Prophet didn't tell us every single thing? They also say, use as their proof, they say that Allah tells us in the interpretation of meaning to ponder his words. Allah tells us, to think about it, ponder his words. So what's wrong with us trying to develop stronger meanings? They also use this verse where Allah says, do they not reflect on the Quran, or are their hearts locked? So they say that we're supposed to reflect upon Allah's words and try to figure out how to incorporate them into our lives and try to come up with a better, deeper understanding of them. So these are some of the verses that the people that use tafsir bil ra'i, they give opinion-based explanations used to justify them. And that brings us to the big question now, which is probably why Amina Fresno is confused. Amina, you listening? A lot of people may say, so which way is right? Which way is correct? Is it okay? Well, of course, guys, it's not okay. Y'all should know that. Remember, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has told us that the sources of Islam is the Quran and the Sunnah. When he sent Mu'adh as the first messenger to the people, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, when you are in doubt about something, look to see what Allah has to say first and foremost, then what I have said. He said, only if you cannot find anything, then do you use ijtihad. Okay? That's what happened. when we had Ibn Abbas, may Allah be pleased with him. He was the governor of Medina during the fitna that happened, the war, the civil war between the companions. Ramadan had started. Muawiyah had just left Medina trying to get Ibn Abbas to support him as the caliphate. Ibn Abbas would never go against Ali and support Mu'ad over Ali. But Ibn Abbas knew that if he told the people that Muawiyah had seen the moon and he was going to take Muawiyah's word for the sighting, that the people would think that he was supporting Muawiyah over Ali. So that's when Ibn Abbas used ijtihad that one time and said, I'm going to look for a local sighting. Okay? Is that the rule? No. Does that mean that in 2024, Muslims can choose to do local sightings? No. We have to follow what the Prophet said. One sighting. Anyone in the world who sees the moon has seen it for all of us. But that one time, Ibn Abbas used ijtihad. Okay? For those people who want to say, no, that's not true, I want y'all to ponder this hadith here. When Umar, and remember, who was Umar? May Allah be pleased with him. Umar will be the second person to enter paradise after the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Umar is the second best of this nation after the Prophet. No one understands this deen better than him except Abu Bakr and of course the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Umar, he advised Shuray, he said, "O Shuray, judge according to what is in the Quran. And if it is not mentioned in the Quran, then make judgments according to the Sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad. And if it's not mentioned in the book of Allah or the Sunnah of the Prophet, then make judgment according to what we, the original companions, judge by. And if that's not mentioned, then go ahead with your own decision. Then go ahead and try to make your own ijtihad." So that's the dalil. So tafsir bil ra'i. That's why we have a lot of bad fatwas out there. That's why we got Muslim women thinking that it's haram to show their face. That's why we got Muslim women thinking that they better than other women because they do show their face. That's why we got people saying it's haram for a woman to be pretty, that Allah made a mistake. That's why we got people saying that a woman can't wear colors. We can't wear silk. Oh, that's extravagance. Oh, a woman can't teach. That's because they're using tafsir bil ra'i, their own opinion. But their opinions are not in sync with the hadiths. So their opinions are not accepted. Because these brothers who are issuing these fatwas, first of all, many of them don't have the correct aqidah. That's the reality. I'm talking about the ones today. They don't have the correct belief system. They're Sufis, a lot of them, or Shiite, or Deobandi, or whatever. You have to have the correct aqidah. Number two, they don't know the hadiths. They really don't. They don't know the history of the religion. They went to school, got a PhD in Islam, but they don't, because they learned how to speak Arabic. They think Islam is Arabic language. They didn't study the hadiths. The only hadiths they learned was the 40 hadiths of Imam Nawawi and Riyadh al-Salihin, unfortunately. They think because they learned them books that now they're scholars of hadith. Astaghfirullah. And number three, they don't have knowledge of the Arabic linguistics either. So that's why you got these famous brothers saying things that's not correct. That's the problem with Tafsir bil Rai. And that's why it's not accepted. That's why I tell you guys, you may think they're scholars. Nobody else do, because their opinions are rejected. They don't meet the criteria. Okay? So now let's give you a quiz to see how well I tried to break this down to you today. I tried. Let's see. Quiz. Am I still connected? We got a terrible tornado. Do y'all know I'm sitting here teaching in a tornado? Am I still connected?
Yeah, you still connected.
Am I lagging or anything?
No, you good.
Girl, do y'all know we got a bad tornado going on here? Is Carmetta here? Is Carmetta in there? Because she lives about 15, 20 minutes away from me. It's bad. We got a terror. I can hear the wind whooshing and everything. It's a tornado going on here. Allahu Akbar. Allah is protecting the girl. All right, let's give you a quiz here. Oh, I hear that. Oh, that was a bad one. If something went down outside and I got my electricity on, nobody else does. Allah wants y'all to hear this class. Y'all don't see Carmetta in there, though, huh? I am worried about Carmetta. Where she is, they say it's getting even worse. Okay. All right. Here's the question. What is the difference between Tafsir bil Matur and Tafsir bil Roi? Who can explain the difference between the two different Tafsirs?
Make it simple and
Yes.
quite to the point.
Yeah.
Bil Matur is evidence-based and Tafsir bil Rai is opinion.
There you go. Right, exactly. She always has her raws better than me. Dr. Asma, if you listen, you really need to get this Tajweed going. Fresno's got the raw going on better than me still. And she does that call. Exactly. Good job. Good job. Tafsir bil Matur is evidence-based, whereas Tafsir bil Rai, is opinion-based. Good job, Miss Jackson. Good job, Askins. Good job. Okay, next question. So between the two different tafsirs, which is best? And who can tell me why? Which tafsir is best, meaning most correct, and why? Which is best and why?
Matur is best because it's based on evidence. It's evidence from the Quran, from all those different things. And the other one is not. It's opinion. It's supposed to be, it's different things they're supposed to go through with to make sure that it's like it is. But the best one is the Matur.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
And now do y'all understand? I want y'all to remember when Sheikh Morsi used to come in here and do the Q&A. Y'all remember how you would ask Sheikh Morsi a question and he would say the most correct opinion. Y'all remember how he would always say that? The most correct. Like, for example, I remember one time you guys asked him, one of the sisters asked him, Sheikh Morsi, do I have to cover my face? Is it true that a woman has to cover her face? He said, well, there's different of opinions. He said, you got some of the scholars that say the woman's face is part of her nakedness. But the most correct is no. Y'all see why he said the most correct? Whenever he would say the most correct, that meant this is the one based on evidence. That's why it's most correct. I'll give you an example. What about a woman's voice? Is a woman's voice part of her aura? Some of the scholars say that it is. But the most correct opinion is no, it is not. Because we have the hadiths where Aisha, radiallahu anha, used to answer questions about Islam to the men publicly. We have the hadiths where the female companions used to speak publicly, making their voices loud and intimidating like mine is. So that's why when you come upon a real scholar, they'll tell you there's two different opinions, but the most correct is, and that's what they mean, because that the Tafsir bil Matur is showing whatever. Exactly. Y'all understand that? So I'm trying to point out to you guys how when you're listening, like Dr. Jamali. Dr. Jamali just put a video out. I put a video out of him. How many of you have heard people of knowledge tell you that if a man issues 3 talaqs at once, you're irrevocably divorced? How many of you have heard that? Well, that's opinion based. What do they base it on? They base it on Umar. May Allah be pleased with him. When Umar became the caliphate over the Muslims, the people were abusing divorce and marriage. So Umar said, I heard that you brothers are divorcing your wives by issuing 3 pronouncements at once. He said, so because of you doing that, I am now going to make it a law. Anytime you do it, you're automatically divorced. So that's the evidence that those people use. But remember, one of the criteria is the evidence used. The evidence used cannot contradict a hadith of the Prophet. Well, we have the hadith from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in Sahih Bukhari. He said, any man who issues 3 pronouncements of divorce at once, it only counts as 1 divorce. So that's the correct opinion. Y'all understand? And so that's why you will hear Jamali, like in that video I put out, he said, well, I know some people, some scholars are of the opinion that 3 talaqs is irrevocable. No, that's incorrect. It only counts as 1. And he gave another hadith, whereas Ibn Umar got angry at his wife and he issued 3 pronouncements to her. This is Sahih Bukhari too. When the Prophet heard about it, he got angry. He told Ibn Umar, go back and take her as your wife. And then issue 1 against her, because it only counted as 1. So that's why the most correct view is 3 talaqs. 3 pronouncements only count as 1. Umar did it that way because he was the caliph. And the caliph has that authority to make rules to keep the people from violating or transgressing the limits of Allah. Umar was not an innovator. He did that to prevent the men from transgressing Allah's limits, and the caliph can do that. I'm pretty sure when the Mahdi comes, he'll make a lot of rules like that too, because we have really messed up this religion. Okay, so, but of course, Tafsir bil Matur, that's the best. And that's why you will hear a lot of scholars say the most correct. They're referring to the Tafsir bil Matur over the opinion based. Okay, last question. Take you back. So, what's meant by the Arabic term Maqasidic Tafsir? What is Maqasidic Tafsir? Can anybody answer? What's Maqasidic? What do we mean by that? Break down the Arabic word Maqasidic and Tafsir in English.
So the Maqasidic is based evidence in itself, but it's actually evidence from the Quran verses and evidence from the companions and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Exactly. Maqasidic means I'm going to interpret. I'm going to give you the interpretation or the explanation or the clarification of something based solely on what either what the prophet said or what the companion said or with what the companion said a verse of the Quran means. That's Maqasidic. Everything here at Sunnah followers is Maqasidic. Everything that I teach is Maqasidic. I don't deal with the four madhabs. Y'all know that. I don't deal with fatwa either. I don't deal with scholarly views either. We love the scholars. We respect them, but I don't deal with that. Everything here is Maqasidic. I'm going to answer and teach based on how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us to teach, and I'm going to always give you the understanding of those original companions if I can. You will very seldom hear me use Sheikh Albani or Sheikh bin Baz or Sheikh Uthaymin. May Allah bless them all. They were great men, and when they died, this knowledge and understanding of Islam went with them, unfortunately. May Allah protect them all, make their grave spacious. Ameen. Okay, but that's Maqasidic. Is the highest, the most correct, the highest level of understanding. The highest level of understanding is what those companions had. That's why we should aim high as Muslims. We should aim high in our understanding of this deen to be like those original predecessors were. All right. So I'm going to stop right here. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Are there any questions or comments? Oh, Mathur just refers to the Quran's interpretation. That's all. It's just Arabic words. They mean the same thing, but Maqasidic can refer to anything. Mathur is referring to interpreting the Quran. You understand? I can use Maqasidic with the hadiths too. My hadiths are Maqasidic. The highest aim. Maqasidic means the most correct. Maqasidic means the most correct understanding. The highest. The highest. Maqasidic is the highest, the best, the most correct understanding of the hadith, the most correct understanding of the Quran. Maqasidic means the most high. I'm aiming, pursuing the higher level, the higher understanding. Yes, based on evidence from the Prophet or from the Quran, from the Prophet or his companions. Nobody else. That's why y'all don't see me using the four imams ever. I'm not a Mathabian. I'm not into that Mathab stuff. Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, it's clear. Alhamdulillah. Okay, guys, tomorrow is Friday and we have our 6 o'clock class. And also don't forget, tomorrow we have part 2 of the history of Palestine. We'll have at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Brother Brother Youssef will be joining us tomorrow at 7 with part 2 of the history of Palestine. Last week, he talked about how Palestine was taken from the Muslims and given to the Jews. Well, he's going to continue with that tomorrow at 7. And then also tomorrow night, we have my Q&A show. The Call In and Ask Sister Layla live show. And also, guys, please support this Dawah effort. You know, we only have $300 in our account. We need donations to cover our website expenses, which equal $2,000 a month. It's over $2,000 a month. Please donate to support us. And remember, you can Zelle us. That's the best, because Zelle doesn't take out any money and it goes directly into the account. Or you can Cash App, or you can PayPal using credit card or whatnot. Please support us. All right, I'm going to close out for tonight. Inshallah, I'll see everybody tomorrow at 6. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Everybody have a good night, inshallah.